Good morning, everyone. Well, good morning from Glasgow, and a very warm welcome to everyone joining us today for our live parents, carers, and supporters session. So, we will all be with you for the next hour to chat through how best to support your child or dependent as they prepare for their arrival here in Glasgow. So, we're joined today by our lovely panel who will be covering topics such as accommodation, security, and the support available at the university. If you are watching us live today, you can also ask us questions through the text chat, and colleagues behind the scenes will do their best to answer these questions for you. So this session is part of our online open day, so please be sure to check out the rest of today's sessions from admissions to accommodation. So just to introduce myself quickly, my name is Alice and I work here at the University of Glasgow in the External Relations team. And I'll just ask all of our panel to introduce themselves as well. So Lucy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello, my name is Lucy Treasure. I work for the Residence Life team, also called Res Life, which is a support service for students living in university accommodation.
Perfect, thanks Lucy. Kirstine, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Kirstine Fraser. I'm a student support officer based in the College of Social Sciences, part of a team of student support officers across the University of Glasgow campus that give information, support and advice to students at any time during their time with us here at the University of Glasgow and also before they join us at the university.
Perfect, thank you Kirstine. Julia, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, good morning everyone. My name is Julia Newland and I work within accommodation services. I have a supporting role within operations and I'm also the liaison for the Dumfries residences.
Perfect, thanks Julia. Gary, would you like to introduce yourself next?
Good morning everybody. My name is Gary Stephen. I'm the Head of Security for the University and I'm responsible for a security team based over 3 campuses, Dumfries, Glasgow and the main campus. I've got 57 officers at the moment, but later on in the presentation you'll hear that's going to expand for the accommodation. And I make sure everyone is safe, secure and happy at the University of Glasgow.
Perfect, thank you Gary. And Alina, last but not least, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Alina Chauhan. I'm a marine and freshwater biology student here at Glasgow University.
Perfect, thank you, Alina. So we've got a really diverse range on our panel today, which is really fantastic. So with that, we will get started with our first question. And Julia, I'm going to come to you for the first question. So for those who are looking for accommodation or who don't currently live in Glasgow, securing accommodation can really feel like a daunting task if you're not sure what to do, particularly for those kids who are moving away from home for the first time. Would you be able to talk us through some of the main accommodation options that we have available and explain what the process is?
Of course. So this actually takes me back to my own personal experience of when my daughter got her offer to study at the University's Dumfries campus. Of course, my first thought was, oh my God, where are you going to live? But I suppose, you know, it's the same thought process when you're in this situation looking for accommodation. You have to consider what's available and see what's important to you. The first slide that we have shows the various sites that we allocate our undergraduates to, and they vary very much in location, facilities and costs. If location is important to you, we have sites starting from between 5 minutes and 30 minutes away from the main campus. Probably a good point just to make at this stage, we have in Scotland, if you are under 22, you can apply for free bus travel. We also have a fantastic bike rental scheme. So if one of your preferred sites is perhaps a little too far to walk, then those might be a couple of options to consider. If facilities is crucial, then we offer cluster flats, which are between 3 and 12 bedroomed flats. And yes, sharing with 12 strangers, believe it or not, is attractive. The rooms vary between standard and ensuite facilities. Some rooms have weekly kitchen cleans. Sites vary in communal spaces and car parking facilities. So lots of things to think about and compare. If cost is a priority, then hopefully the rent starts from £129. So hopefully something for all budgets. If any of your choices look like one of our nomination sites, that simply means that the site itself is owned by a different accommodation supplier, and the university have bought rooms from them. Regardless of that arrangement, everything is dealt with by university staff, and the university remains your landlord. Regardless of site, all of your utilities and Wi-Fi are included in your weekly rent, and all of the teams have a dedicated staff who are there to support students with everything from maintenance, housekeeping, and everything in between. But all of the information is on the website, and there is lots of things for you to consider and compare against each other. One of the new introductions this session was the introduction to meal plans. So again, if shopping or cooking is perhaps a little too far, then that's maybe something you'd like to consider, perhaps even for the first term. The second slide, please, Alice. So the process for applying for accommodation is fairly straightforward. As soon as you've accepted your offer of study, you can apply on the accommodation portal. When you register for the first time, we encourage our students not to use their own school email address, only because we will send students information over the summer, and the chances are you won't have access to that email account after June. We would also encourage our students to give us as much information as possible when they apply. So along with their choices, if they want to live with a friend, or if they just want to live with girls, or if they prefer a higher floor room, or if they want to live with a vegan, then whatever is important to you, let us know. If we can accommodate it, we will. As I said, you can apply now, so long as you have firmly accepted your offer of study. You can submit your application before the 14th of July, and you're guaranteed the offer of accommodation. We would encourage you to apply as soon as possible, and your confirmation will be issued to you as soon as your study status becomes unconditional if it's not already when you apply. Of course, we are here, and you can contact us and ask any questions you may have. The email address is accom, ACCOM, @glasgow.ac.uk.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Julia. And it's really brilliant to hear about all of the options, because everyone is an individual. So some things might be, as you say, more important in terms of location or the residence itself. So, and a really good tip about the school email address as well, because that's something that students might forget about. So that's really brilliant to hear. So following on from this, Lucy, I'm going to come to you next as you are part of the Residence Life team. So I wondered if you'd like to tell viewers more about how your team can help new students to settle into these new residences, as well as how you support students through their time in university accommodation as well.
Yeah, of course. So firstly, we very much recognise that transitioning into university accommodation can be quite a big transition for students, often living away from home for the first time, possibly a new city, possibly a new country. So part of our remit in residence life is to support students with that settling in period. So part of that looks like our welcome talks, where we gather students from accommodations together to hear kind of key information at the start of the year, start to get to know each other, start to get to know the staff that will be there to support them throughout the year, and then also our welcome events throughout that kind of freshers period. So we do the kind of big social, lots of mingling type of events, which are really, really fun, a great opportunity for students to add up, first point of moving in, meet lots of people. But we also recognise that for a lot of students, that type of environment is not what they're looking for to meet people. So we do have more kind of low-key events as well. So there's always going to be opportunities for students to meet other students. Getting on with your flatmates is a big one. As Julia mentioned, some of our flats have 12 students in them, so you can imagine. And supporting with student positive communal living. So whether that's providing them with resources and guidance on how to be a good flatmate and what that might look like. Also providing them with guidance on how to have those conversations themselves and empower them to have positive conversations with flatmates. But our team are also there if it does get to the point where any mediation conversations are required. So we know that going into accommodation, living with strangers, there'll be lots of new habits, different schedules, different cultures, which is really exciting as well, but can come with some challenges that we're there to support with. We're also really keen with getting students to feel a sense of community, not just within their halls, but also wider in Glasgow, recognising that some students might be here for 4 years. So yeah, we put on volunteer opportunities, linking up with different organisations and charities, doing trips within Glasgow and wider in Scotland as well. So really trying to encourage students to make the most of their experience in halls. For a lot of students, it is quite a core part of their university experience, and getting them to feel like they're making the most of it. So yeah, we put on a diverse range of events throughout the year. So even if students haven't made their friends in those first couple of weeks, which is completely normal, we do have events throughout the year. So there's plenty of opportunities for students to meet others. Thanks, thank you. We also have our welfare and our wellbeing remit. So we have a dedicated group of professional Res Life welfare team, and they are available for students 3 to 11, Monday through to Sunday. And students can contact them via email, phone, drop into the office, through appointments, or at some of our events. So they, yeah, as you can see, they can help at some of our wellbeing and inclusive events as well. When our team are not on, we refer to a 24/7 student support helpline, which is provided by the university. So there is kind of round-the-clock support available for students within accommodation. Our team are reactive as well as being proactive. So they are on site and are there to respond to any calls that come through from students and work very closely with other services in the university. So you'll hear later on from Gary from security. So our team work very closely with the security team to make sure that students feel safe, secure, and respected within their accommodation. We also work very closely with other support services within campus and also sometimes, if appropriate, external support services. So we recognise that because our team are in the accommodation, students might be coming to us first, and we'll speak to the student, figure out what it is that that student is looking for in terms of support, and make sure that they get to the right team and the right services for what they're looking for. So yeah, next slide. And this is just a slide with pictures from lots of different events that we've done this year. we're really keen to make sure that our events are student focused. So some of these events were actually led by our student volunteers, and the ideas for the events come from students as well. So we're really keen for students to feel like they've got a voice in what kind of community and belonging they want to have within their accommodation. Yeah, my favourite one was the ping pong competition that students got very competitive with. So yeah, I think I hope that what I've mentioned about our service provides a little bit of reassurance to parents, carers and supporters that we really do recognise that moving to accommodation can be a challenge and all the new things that come with that, and our team recognises that. But we're also really excited about the opportunities that come with living in student accommodation as well. So yeah, we'll encourage students to make the most of them too.
Thank you so much, Lucy. That's brilliant. And yeah, like I remember my time at university. I don't want to say how long ago that was now, but I've still got friends from my university accommodation, but it's brilliant to hear about any support that you have available. But it's definitely good to be able to compromise on some things in university accommodation with everyone coming from different backgrounds as well. So that's really good to hear. So now, Alina, I'm going to come to you for the next question. And I think this will be a really important one for viewers to hear today because you're a current student with us here at the university. So I wondered if you would like to provide your own experiences of moving away from home and where you stayed in your first year as well.
Right. Hi, everyone. Introducing myself again, I'm Alina. I'm a marine biology student. I'm originally from India, so moving to Glasgow was a massive shift. And my parents were also concerned. So like for accommodations, our first priority was location, that it has to be closest to the campus. So it's like more secure. So for that, we picked student apartments, which is just 5 minutes from the library, basically on campus. And they also, my parents really wanted me to be in a bigger flat, so I wouldn't have so like as many people as possible. And I was also so student apartments was the best choice we had. We also wanted catered accommodation because like back home, it's like a huge cultural difference. Back home, all accommodations are catered. So for us, knowing that, oh, I'll have to be cooking my own food was a big cultural shock. But the only campus that had catering was in Garscoop, which is quite far. So we had to negotiate which we had to prioritize either location or facilities, and we prioritized location. And I'm quite glad about that because I was basically on campus, and there's like several places on campus where you could get a good meal for quite cheap, especially like the unions. And like our last priority was cost, which again, student apartments was one of the most affordable locations. In my first year, I was in a 9-person mixed flat. I'm still friends with all of them, especially my roommate. She's like classics and film and television students. I go to her place. And as for Res Life, one of the Res Life members, I think 2 years ago, Res Life was student run. So one of the Res Life members was living in our flat, and she helped me out with the Young Scott applications. So the team is quite helpful. Yeah, my accommodation experience specifically has been great.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Alina. And it's nice to hear your own experiences and how you kind of, alongside your parents, because obviously it can be a choice that you're making and a decision that you're making with your parents and prioritizing those needs based on things. Hopefully the new meal plan, if anyone is worried about cooking, can help students who are going forward as well, like Julia had mentioned. So obviously we've been chatting through kind of support and accommodation, which I think leads on really nicely to the support available at the university itself. So Kirstine, I'm going to come to you for this question, as you're part of the team that provides subject area support to students throughout their time at university. So could you tell us a little more about that, please?
Yeah, so just to kind of remind everyone who's watching, I'm a student support officer here at the University of Glasgow. To give like a really, really quick overview of what student support officers, we're kind of local based support that are based within schools and colleges across the University of Glasgow campus. And essentially kind of what we do is we kind of bridge the gap, between kind of schools, colleges to the kind of central support services that, whoever you're supporting in their application who is maybe coming to the University of Glasgow as a student within the next year, the next couple of years, gets the support that they need. I think we're really aware that we're quite a large university. There can be a bit of a culture shock coming to a new environment, and having to just deal with everything being thrown at you at once. So we try and kind of help students navigate that in as early kind of a point as possible. There is no wrong time to approach us for support, but the sooner we know that maybe you have support needs that maybe you need to kind of look at getting additional help for, the better. So we'll do the best that we can to kind of support you. So there's a whole range of different ways we can do that. We kind of work very much with students on what they need kind of support wise when it comes to frontline support, whether they prefer to meet us online, whether they prefer to kind of just engage with us through email, or whether they have a preference for face-to-face kind of communication and support. We can kind of work with all of that. But we work very much kind of making sure that the connections that need to happen with you kind of on the day-to-day in your studies in schools and colleges is happening. So whether that is you maybe need support for a disability that you have, a condition, maybe there's kind of language barriers, you're looking for kind of additional support with kind of getting your academic writing up to kind of standard needed for kind of higher education in Scotland, we can help with all of that. And we're also kind of there to help with kind of getting that kind of action planning, helping students kind of figure out what they need to do next. Because again, touching on what I just said there, we're aware that this is a big campus, it's a big university, there's a lot of other things that are kind of going on that can be really overwhelming for students. And we kind of help students kind of navigate that. We'll kind of work with advisor of studies, which, just to give a little bit of context, that's essentially like a personal tutor. If you've never come across that terminology before, and that's the kind of connections that we would work with who are kind of based within schools. They're kind of the ones who would give kind of key academic advice, such as what course should maybe I choose if I want to do this, or I maybe feel I need some help. Maybe I've got some kind of anxiety about kind of my studies and kind of want to kind of address that. We also work with the wider university student support services. We are actually part of wellbeing and inclusion here at the University of Glasgow. And what that means is we have a lot of really good connections with the support services that make up student and academic services here at the University of Glasgow. So whether that's student learning development service, international student support, our counselling service, disability, we've got all that here to support you in your studies and to support anyone that you're kind of helping as they transition into being a student here at the University of Glasgow. If you're kind of looking for some kind of in-person support, we can certainly do that. You can approach the Student Services Inquiry team in the Fraser building, and they would kind of help you kind of make connections to us as well, if that's something you wanted to do. And they can help with any kind of inquiries. But in short, we're really invested in making sure our students succeed, no matter what hurdles are thrown at them here during their time here at the university. So come to us really soon. Don't be scared of approaching us. Encourage any student that you're supporting to come to us. Like, they may not know what support service they need, but hopefully we do, and we can help them get that support. So we will work with schools, accommodation, specialist services, and kind of anything they need any support with. Next slide. So this is just like some of the scenarios to give a bit of context to how we can kind of help as student support officers. So if a student that you are supporting is feeling isolated, homesick, unwell, just feeling kind of culture shocked with being in Glasgow, which can happen to anyone, it doesn't need to be international students, it can be home students as well. It's a really different environment at university than maybe college or high school or any other kind of pathways that they've come to university. Do reach out to us. We're happy to kind of support and help and make sure we help them make the connections they need to get through that difficult period as quickly and expediently as possible. If anything kind of comes up with illness or extended absence, we can also help and support. We can help with things such as extenuating circumstances that they may need to submit if they've maybe been off ill, absence reporting. All of that is something that we can support with. As well as that, approaching university staff can be a bit of a challenge, a bit intimidating at times. So if the student that you're supporting is maybe just looking for a bit of a kind of support to bridge that gap and kind of approaching a member of staff that maybe they need additional help or support from, we can support them with that. No one needs to kind of go through anything alone. We are not expecting students to kind of just have all the answers and just to figure it out on their own. We're here to support. So please do kind of encourage students to reach out to us and we can do that. And if you want to take a leave of absence, perhaps things are maybe getting a bit too much, things are happening at home, we can certainly kind of support that as well, you know, when it comes to kind of a range of situations that do arise all the time when it comes to student support. There is not a situation that we've ever come across that's never happened before. So whether that's student maternity, being a student carer, student paternity, adoption, kinship caring, we've seen it all. So please don't worry about approaching us. We can certainly help, and we can also help with difficult situations that arise, such as maybe experiencing crime, fraud, assault. But in short, if you don't know where to turn, we're here to help you. We're here to support you. Don't feel that you have to get through university alone. We're all invested in supporting you. We all want you to do well. So please reach out to us as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Kirstine, and you covered everything so well. And I think, bearing in mind for viewers on the call today, like you said, just reach out. If they're not sure where to go, you'll be able to guide them, or someone will be able to guide them at the university of which kind of support team to go to for something specific. It is so daunting when you're coming away and studying for the first time and maybe leaving home for the first time. But like you said, there's not much that you've not seen before, and so we'll be able to provide support around that, which is really brilliant to hear. And you covered all of the services that we have really well as well, so it's really brilliant to hear. Sometimes people are also thinking maybe about careers, and we do have a careers service who can help with anything that you're thinking about in future careers or internships or anything around that. And we also have a fully trained peer wellbeing support team who are around to listen and to provide advice as well. So like you said, Kirstine, there's so many different people. So it's often which one would kind of work for you best and how do you want to reach that support. So please just ask if you ever need anything, is what I always take from these sessions. So we'll just move on to the next question now. And for those who are joining us today who are supporting a young person who are leaving home for the first time, it's completely natural that one of the major things on their mind is safety, and that is a top concern. So Gary, I know that you are the best placed man to answer this question as the university's head of security. So could you share some insights into the measures that are in place that help to ensure our campus remains safe and secure environment for our students?
I certainly can, thank you. First of all, I'm going to talk about Glasgow itself. Glasgow is a reasonably safe city compared to other cities around the world. The crime rate is reasonably low, particularly in the West End where the campus and the accommodation is situated. Though like any busy city like Milan, London, Rome, Madrid, Barcelona, you have to use common sense and be sensible about where you're leaving your phones and stuff like that. However, I have a full team of security officers based on the main campus and at Glasgow. So I did give you a little bit of a taster earlier on. There was a little bit of a spoiler alert. From the 12th of July, I will also be taking over all the accommodation as well. So my team is going to have another arm attached to it, where we're going to have 11 security officers and 1 duty manager assigned just to the accommodation as well. So apart from the team I've got 2 very good operations managers that help me run 5 teams of officers with 9 officers on each team. So we cover a 365-day remit, 24/7. When the lights go out and everyone goes home at 5 o'clock, it's my team that are here to make sure they look after you, along obviously with the Res Life team up to 11 o'clock, as was mentioned earlier. But it's my team that are here. If you've got an issue, you come to my team. We're situated in the gatehouse and the main campus and the gatehouse at Garscube. And as I say, we're here to deal with any incident out of hours. So you can see the team set up like that, but what are the aims of the team? Can we go to the next slide, please? What we do, with the campus security team has changed dramatically in the last 10 years. We have evolved from the traditional old-fashioned locking doors. We had peak caps, /peak caps over our eyes. We didn't speak to students. We were grumpy. And we changed all that 10 years ago. And now we're a much younger team, a much more diverse team that represents the community we serve, because the student experience is at the heart of everything we do. We have to make sure that we are more of a safeguarding team, not to be confused with a safeguarding team, because one of the services we deal with regularly and closely as part from Res Life is the safeguarding team, which are a standalone team. But in the middle of the night, my team are all trained to the appropriate standard to be able to deal with emergencies. We've got mental health first aid. We've got the Susie Lampu safely training. We've got women in security training. We have most of my team, 90% of my team, apart from the newer members, are gender-based violence first responders. We're also got assist trained officers, which is suicide prevention. And we're all trained up to the very high standard neurology higher education level 2, which is people, without boring you in my industry, you've got the SIA that have got badged officers for contract companies. We've taken a step above that and gone to make sure our officers are trained to the standard above that. So at the moment, I've got 57 staff. That's going to change to 69 staff come the 12th of July. They're all here to make sure you're safe and secure. Can we go to the next slide, please? So what did I do when I come here? I wanted to create an environment that's enhance the student experience. And we've done that by reducing crime, the opportunities for crime and fear of crime, by delivering an environment in which students and staff can study, work and live safely. To provide an excellent gender-based team of highly skilled, empowered security professionals. What that means is the training you saw on the other slide is the training we give all to our staff to make sure they're compliant with the British standards. And we've got we're opening a brand new control room shortly with what it says there, fit for purpose security systems. So it's a blended approach of having boots on the ground, staff that can speak to the students in person, but having the technology behind that as well from a control room where we can see public space areas to make sure people are safe when they're walking from building to building, where we can't have the officers to patrol. The way I've done that, though, is I've invested a lot of money and time in training. The training, as you saw on the other page, but there's other training we do. There's this legislation just gone through Parliament called Martin's Law. All my officers are aware of Martin's Law and they're all being trained up to make sure they've got the bespoke training to be able to evacuate people going down the line. Can we go to the next slide, please? So this is a big line for me. We are the custodians of the campus out of working normal hours. Our roles matured into more of a first responder safeguarding role who work closely with a newly formed safeguarding team. The team, along with the Health Assured products, has allowed university to give a more holistic and robust response to dealing with students who are mentally unwell out of hours. So my staff will deal with any incident they come across, and the training they've had will allow them to assess what's going on, assess who to signpost to. If they just need someone to talk to, we've got the welfare team, we've got the Res Life team, but we've also, if they're not around, we've got an app, which I'm going to come to in a minute. And on that app, we've got an opportunity for the student to press a button and go through to talk to a counsellor 24/7. And those counsellors speak 120 odd different languages and dialects. Can we go to the next page, please? What does good look like? I am going to show off a little bit here because we've invested a little bit of time and effort into this team. And this team in the last few years have won the Fire and Security Excellence Security Manager of the Year 2021. The Safe Zone, which I'm just about to mention, it's my app, it's my baby that I brought in, that I have it's most best bit of technology I think that's ever been designed, and I'm going to come to that in a second. We won a collaborative use of that. Someone won the Security Director Manager of the Year in 2023. The best use of the Safe Zone app, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. We won the All Team of the Year, which is the Association of University of Direct Service States in 2023. And the AUXO Team of the Year in 24. That AUXO is the Association of University Chief Security Officers. So the team, and it's not me that's won these awards, it's my team that have won the awards, the team that have been trained, the team that will deal with your students coming to this university. These are the people that have won these awards because of the work and the effort they've put in. But they've done it with the right mix of technology. So can you go to the next slide for me, please? Safe Zone. Safe Zone is a free to download app that will enhance the security and safety of staff and students, or students and staff, depending on where you look at it. So you can see on that picture there, every student downloads the app. They've got the ability, if they press the red button, to go through to the control room or for the police and emergency services, wherever they are, around the globe, but we'll concentrate on Glasgow because we're talking about Glasgow and the accommodation at the moment. You press the red button, it creates an alert and it shows on the geo map where that student or member of staff is. My first responders on the ground will start responding to that, but it allows the student or member of staff to contact the control room immediately. We can see where they are. They can tell us what the issue is, and we've already started responding because the first responders in the van or on the ground are starting going to that location because they can see it on their handheld devices as it is. If they come across a first aid incident, they can see someone's fallen over and injured themselves. They can press the green button. Non-urgent calls is people are lost in their first semester here. People are still lost now after 6 years. So they can press the blue button and say, look, I'm running really late for this lecture. They get panicky about it. I don't know where the humanitarian theatre is. Can you help me, please? And my staff can see where they are on the map and give them directions. Turn right, turn left, into the quad, over the far right corner, and that's where you are. For the emergency button as well, if they're out and about in the city centre and they see a crime or see anything happening, they can press the red button and go straight through to the police. What that does is it activates as an alert in the control room. So the staff will allow the student or member of staff to talk to the cops, and as soon as give them a couple of minutes and they'll call them to see where they are and why they've pressed the red button. And they can see that they've called the police or the emergency services and ask them if they need any assistance. So my team are here to deal with any situation 24/7. They are customer centric, they're award winning, they're fully trained up, and they are here to help your students. I think that's me.
Thanks so much, Gary. And so many accolades and well-deserved accolades that your team has here at the university. And it's always good to hear about the Safe Zone. I know I can speak for probably everyone on this call who are staff and also students who have that downloaded for if we ever need it. And we know that we're well looked after by our security team as well. So thank you for taking us through that. So we'll just move on to the next question. So for many of our new students and indeed the parents and carers who are tuning in, this will be the first time in Glasgow, and you might also be looking how to find out more about the city that your young person will be calling home. So Alina, I think you're the best person to come to for this with the best experience. So how would you describe the city of Glasgow, and would you recommend it as a place to live as a student?
I would describe the city as like the most kind city, and I would definitely recommend it. It's also because it's so walkable that it's like you can basically go anywhere and you reach there in an hour, at least an hour, like the farthest part of the city. if you're like a speed walker. But being able to walk to any part of the city makes it so much more accessible and so much more attractive. It also like reduces the cost of transport by a lot. I've been like one of the most like expensive cities, and the cost of transport that is not helpful. um and I think that goes the same for Scotland as well, because the Young Scot card, that's generally a savior for me, because I've been able to travel all around Scotland just through the Young Scot card. And especially like this time of in Glasgow, when it's like bright and sunny, it really makes up for the gloomy rainy days. And Glasgow has like also like these massive events all throughout the year. Most of them are like the music live events, but I'm not a music fan. But I do go to the Glasgow Comedy Festival, which is like a month-long festival all throughout the city, and uh, you have stand-up comedy and plays all across the city, and you can just sometimes you can just walk in and watch a stand-up show. It's amazing. um, and then we're also going to have the Glasgow Science Festival, which is again going to be a city-wide event, a festival. But yeah, Glasgow is definitely one of the cities I would recommend living in, because it's so accessible, so student friendly, and so kind and helpful. Like everyone here is so helpful and so friendly. But yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Alina. And you covered a lot there. There is gloomy weather in Glasgow, but it is nice and sunny here at
Yeah.
the moment. And obviously, the Science Festival sounds ideal for you as a marine biology student as well. Obviously, the kind of Young Scot card that you mentioned, and Julia mentioned this earlier as well. So this is free bus transport for students who are under the age of 22 here in Scotland. So it's a really brilliant way, like Alina said, to kind of reduce costs of transport, and you can go anywhere in Scotland. So you can go and experience kind of the Highlands and also the capital of Edinburgh, and really get a flavour of the full country without cost, which is really nice for students, because I know that's a big one for students. So we've come to our final question for today, unfortunately. So for parents and those supporting a young person, I'm going to come to each of the panel for this question as well. What are your top tips for making the transition to university life as smooth as possible? Gary, I'm going to come to you first for your top tips.
Enjoy the city, talk to people. People will talk to you at bus stops, they'll talk to you on the subway, they'll talk to you standing on the street corner. As you'll tell, I'm not a native to Glasgow, but I've picked up a lot of the mannerisms and the way I will talk to anyone at a bus stop as well. It's called a blether. You need a little bit of a dictionary to translate some of the colloquialisms and that language. However, people are friendly. The tagline to Glasgow is "People make Glasgow." And if you embrace that and you talk to people and you travel around the city and you enjoy the vibrancy, the restaurants, the bars, the museums, you will have an absolute ball.
Brilliant. Thanks, Gary. And Blether, that's you can have a new word of the day if you're tuning in on the call as well. So that's a good Scots word for you to know when you arrive here. Alina, I'm going to come to you next for your top tips.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, I'm an international student. So for me, the cultural difference was quite massive, and one of the biggest things was food. But Glasgow has such great Indian food, and also in grocery stores. So even if you want to like not spend out, you can buy the groceries and make things yourself. So one of the top tips would be to know where the closest grocery store is, especially if you're an international student, if you have like specific cuisine that you're a fan of. It'll be good to like know where they are, and it's quite easy, like especially around the campus there are like grocery stores from every cuisine, every cultural cuisine. So that's like one of my top tips. But yeah, as Gary said, the people are so friendly. It's not a bother to like find help, or just like it's I've never felt alone in the city or felt that I don't have any friends or felt isolated or anything. Thank God, because I was in a 9-person flat in my first year. Uh, so, but yeah, the city is very friendly and it's quite accessible, and you can basically find anything you need quite close by.
Brilliant, thanks, Elena. And yeah, that's a really important one for international students. It's good to be able to know where to find those home comforts when you need them. So doing that research when you arrive is really important as well. So thank you for that. Julia, I'm going to come to you next for your top tips for students.
Well, my top tip would simply be ask questions, and that I would say that to the parents and all supporters of young people. Just ask questions. Don't let them put you off. Don't say, "Oh, Mum, don't ask that." Just feel confident to ask as many questions as you need. I think it's really important that that we show you that regardless of which team are involved, when you join the university, the staff are committed to making sure your children are safe and have a fantastic experience when they join. So relax and be confident to ask questions.
That's a really brilliant one, Julia. And there's no silly questions. So yeah, ask as many as you can, because someone else probably behind you or nearby has a similar question, so they can find out at the same time. So that's a really good one to hear. Kirstine, I'm going to come to you for your top tips.
Yeah, so as a native Glaswegian, I am very biased. I think that Glasgow is a brilliant city to work, study, and live in. My kind of top tips would be experience campus life as much as you can. We have hundreds of clubs and societies that for every hobby that you can imagine, whether that's horse riding, basketball, kind of horror films, we literally have it all on the campus. But don't just limit yourself to kind of life on the University of Glasgow campus. This is one of the most diverse cities in the UK. There is literally anything that you could imagine you want to do, you can do it here in the city. So whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, we do literally have it all. We have basically kind of the whole of kind of Scotland's landscape literally on our doorstep, as well as kind of anything else you could want to do, whether that's kind of interests in kind of video gaming, literature, museums. We have everything that you could hope for in a city. So do get out, make connections, enjoy not just the study aspects of, time on the University of Glasgow campus, but enjoy the kind of other parts of education that maybe we don't kind of focus on. Enjoy kind of building up kind of social experiences, kind of hobbies, learning more about kind of Glasgow and Scotland, if you're coming from abroad. We are a very welcoming, kind of friendly city. We're not without our issues, not to kind of paint it as a kind of utopia, but it's genuinely a city I think is very welcoming to people who are kind of coming to it for the first time, whether that's from elsewhere in Scotland and the UK or the wider world. We will welcome you, and don't be scared to kind of ask questions. As someone who has answered a lot of kind of questions and queries for directions on a random street in Glasgow, we will support you and accommodate you. We're pretty friendly bunch, Glaswegians. Just be prepared to have your ears talked off you at a bus stop if you do ask a question. But Glasgow is a great city to live in. It's a great city to study in, and just, sometimes push yourself out your comfort zone. Experience the city, experience its people. Thank you.
Thanks, Kirstine. And I'm seeing some themes coming out, definitely, that we're friendly, but we love to have a chat as well. But yeah, I think really good in terms of that society side. If you're enjoying things outside of your study, that's another way to make friends. There's so many to join, over 300. And I think Taylor Swift is maybe still our largest society. So it just shows you the broad range that we have on offer. Lucy, last but not least, I'm going to come to you for your top tips.
So firstly, I agree with all the top tips from everyone else. I think for me, one thing would be to kind of take the pressure and the expectation off of yourself a little bit and off of the student that you're supporting. I think there's a lot of pressure for students to feel like it all kind of fits in and settles really quickly, you know, make your best friends within welcome week and everything feels great for the rest of your university experience. And that's not often the case, actually. And often it can take students a bit of time to find their people. But yeah, I just encourage them to have a bit of patience with themselves, a bit of grace with themselves. It doesn't mean that you're failing at university if you don't feel like you're settling in straight away. But just as the other kind of panel members said, like there's so much going on within the university and within Glasgow that if you do kind of push yourself out your comfort zone a little bit, try some new things, reach out for support, then eventually you will get to the stage where you do feel like you found your people, that you have a sense of belonging within Glasgow. So yeah, just take the pressure off a little bit, just try and enjoy it as much as possible. And if you try hard enough and put yourself out there, it will come to you.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Lucy. And I think that's really nice. Like, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Everyone's timeline is a little bit different. It sometimes takes a little bit longer to settle in for individuals. But you will find your way and get that support if you need it as well. So that's a really brilliant one to finish on. So unfortunately, everyone, that brings us to the end of today's live Q&A session. I hope you found it as useful as I have. I always find that I learn things on these sessions as well, which is really brilliant. So a huge thank you to our panel who joined us today. And we really hope for those of you who tuned in, you have found today useful. So for further information, you can visit our parents' web pages where you'll be able to find useful links and some further video content for parents as well, which is really useful. And for those of us who are watching live, this session is part of the online open day. So please be sure to check out the rest of the schedule on their web pages. So thank you so much for listening to us today, and hopefully you found it useful. And we look forward to welcoming you in Glasgow in the not too distant future. So thank you, everyone.